India is celebrating its 80th Independence Day this year. Tens of thousands of Indians took part in nationwide tricolour rallies under the Har Ghar Tiranga or tricolour flag in every house campaign that is running from August 9 to August 17th. The initiative aims to bring citizens together in a nationwide celebration of the national flag. Hello and welcome to Inside South Asia, where we bring you all the relevant stories from the region. I'm Kripa. Let's get started. Five years ago, on the 15th of August 2021, following a lightning offensive, Taliban seized control of Kabul, the Afghan capital, and a culmination of their 20-year insurgency against the Western-backed government and the US and allied forces that propped it up. Our next report looks back at the 5 years of Taliban rule in the war-ravaged nation.
Half a decade ago, the Taliban regained power in Afghanistan in August 2021, after the sudden and chaotic withdrawal of US-led forces. Noteworthy is the fact that the stated goal of the Taliban government, which still lacks formal recognition, is building an Islamic society based on Sharia law, following 2 decades of comparatively liberal Western-backed rule. Despite the promise of a softer version of the harsh rule that characterized their first stint in power, women's lives in Afghanistan have been adversely affected by the Taliban's return to power. On the 11th of August, the United Nations Cultural, Education and Scientific Agency, UNESCO, said that about 2.4 million girls in Afghanistan have been stopped from continuing their education beyond the primary school level since the Taliban's return to power and renewed its call to lift restrictions on female education.
Since day one, we have been speaking about a generational gap through this educational banning. According to the estimate we have today, 2.4 million girls have now been excluded and banned from accessing secondary education since 2021. This number shows clearly a 200,000 addition. This is the number of girls who finished primary education with success and naturally could have continued to secondary education, but unfortunately, because of the current policies by de facto authorities, they can't.
UNESCO further warned that if the downward trend continued, nearly 4 million girls would be excluded from education above the primary level by 2030. The damage, however, isn't limited to education alone. The Taliban has banned women from most public sector jobs, rendering tens of thousands of Afghan women jobless since its return, overturning 2 decades of progress. Barring specialized sectors such as healthcare and education and small women-only cooperatives, women are effectively barred from employment in Afghanistan. The Taliban says that they respect women's rights in accordance with their interpretation of Islamic law and Afghan culture. The report card isn't exactly glowing when it comes to children's nutrition. On the 4th of August, the UN World Food Programme, it warned that child malnutrition in Afghanistan has reached critical levels, and aid shortages are forcing health workers to turn away millions of children and mothers, approximately 6 in 7 of those in need.
We must act now to stem the rise in child deaths which this crisis is provoking. It is already too late for too many, but not for the hundreds of thousands of acutely malnourished women and children who urgently need and deserve our help.
The gravity of the situation can be gauged by the fact that child wasting, the deadliest form of malnutrition, has reached critical levels in the third of Afghanistan's provinces.
I wish either I or they had died. I am sick myself. I have typhoid. I can't breastfeed them because when I do, my body starts to shake. I can't feed my child when I don't eat myself, but when I eat, I can feed her. I am sick myself.
It didn't help that since January 2025, the US, traditionally the largest donor, as well as a slew of European countries have cut funding. One of the poorest countries in the world, Afghanistan also ranks among the most vulnerable to the impact of climate change. It is to be noted that since the Taliban seized power in August 2021, the war-ravaged nation has been left out of United Nations climate negotiations. Experts are of the opinion that the fallout from climate change would deepen Afghanistan's humanitarian crisis. Another significant group that has bore the brunt of Taliban's rule are the singers, musicians, artists and photographers. Many of whom have fled since the Taliban's return, while those who couldn't escape have gone into hiding or are keeping a very low profile. Though the Taliban authorities over the last 5 years have built working relationships with a slate of countries, unless and until it puts its own house in order, especially regarding women's rights, the struggle for international recognition will continue to be an uphill task.
Three inmates were killed and more than 20 others were wounded in two separate prison riots in Sri Lanka last week. This happened on the 6th and 7th of August. The unrest comes on the heels of deadly violence at a prison in Negombo in early July that left at least 26 people dead, and clashes at Mahara prison near Colombo on the 1st of August. Our next report explores these recent violent episodes on the island nation's overcrowded prison network.
On the 6th of August, a month after Sri Lanka was jolted out of its slumber by the deadly Negombo prison riot, Colombo Magazine prison in the capital Colombo witnessed fierce clashes when about 40 prisoners broke out of a ward and engaged in disorderly behavior. In the late Thursday mayhem, one inmate was killed and 10 others were injured and taken to a nearby hospital. The next morning, about 80 kilometers from the capital, at Kuruwita prison in Kuruwita town, 2 inmates were killed and 13 others were wounded during a second disturbance. Special police personnel was seen moving inside the Kuruwita prison in a bid to contain the riot. And later, many ambulances carried injured inmates to a hospital. A third incident took place at Palansena open prison camp north of Colombo, where about 30 inmates climbed onto the roof of a prison building and refused to return to their cells. On the same day, addressing the parliament, Sri Lankan Public Security Minister Ananda Wijapala said that the preliminary investigations pointed to possible links to narcotics-related and underworld activity. But the possibility of the incidents being part of a broader coordinated effort had not been ruled out.
The intelligence and investigation reports cause reasons to suspect whether this is a conspiracy to undermine the prison system. The nearest reason for the unrest has been identified as drugs and underworld activities. We have taken steps to control those actions. When you look at all these incidents in prisons as a whole, one can see a planned trend. One can also see a conspiratorial way to undermine the prison system. I can make a statement on that only after a full investigation. However, the government's aim is to bring this unrest under control while safeguarding the lives of everyone.
In recent weeks, a series of prison disturbances across Sri Lanka have brought to the fore the major challenge of chronic overcrowding in the island nation's prisons. According to a recent speech in Parliament by Justice Minister Harshna Nanyakara, Sri Lankan prisons are highly congested with more than 39,000 inmates crowded into a system with a total capacity of just 10,000. Most of these inmates are remand prisoners awaiting trial, many of them on drug-related charges. The living conditions in the congested prisons is poor, and recent laws tightening bail conditions haven't helped matters. In a bid to reduce the backlog of more than 1 million court cases and ease overcrowding in prisons, constitutional changes are in the pipeline to extend Superior Court judges' tenure by 2 years. But the big question is, will the recent violent episodes across chronically overcrowded Sri Lankan prisons result in something positive, a much-needed overhaul of Sri Lanka's prisons? Only time will tell.
Hockey has long been regarded as a symbol of India's sporting identity. Once the undisputed kings of the game, India holds the record for the most Olympic hockey gold medals, with 8 titles to its name. While India claimed back-to-back Olympic medals in Tokyo and Paris, success at the World Cup has been hard to come by, with the only triumph coming in 1975. Now at the 2026 World Cup, both the men's and women's teams are aiming to break that drought.
India's hockey legacy is defined by its glory at the Olympics. From 1928 to 1956, India won 6 consecutive Olympic gold medals, before adding 2 more in 1964 and 1980. For decades, the blue jersey was synonymous with the sport itself. India has also produced some of the best players the game has ever seen, like Major Dhyan Chand and Balbir Singh Senior. But the glory eventually faded. Cricket grew into India's sporting obsession, while hockey slipped out of the centre of the national spotlight. Now, with the new generation running the show, it is believed that India can reclaim the throne.
Everyone knows about the cricketers, but hockey is slowly getting back its due, and it serves as motivation. There is no comparison, and we would like to make a mark with our performances. Play freely and with pride as an Indian national player.
The men's team has already began its revival, winning back-to-back Olympic bronze medals in the Tokyo Olympics and the Paris Olympics. The men in blue also won the gold medal in the 2022 Asian Games in China by defeating Japan in the final. And now they have their eyes set on the World Cup. India finished third in the first edition of the Hockey World Cup in Spain in the year 1971 and finished second in the year 1973. Before winning the World Cup in 1975, India has not even won a medal at the World Cup since. India has hosted the World Cup in 2010, 2018 and 2023. But each time India failed to compete for a podium finish, only reaching the quarterfinals in 2018, while in 2023, India failed to reach the last 8. The 2026 FIH Hockey World Cup will be played in Belgium and the Netherlands from 15th August. With the men's and women's tournament taking place simultaneously.
जो गोल्ड मेडल का सफर है वो इजी नहीं रहेगा एंड चाहे वो वर्ल्ड कप का
The road to gold won't be easy in the World Cup or the Olympics, but we are in good shape.
The training is going well. Hopefully, the team shines in the upcoming tournaments.
जगह है हमारे, तो उम्मीद करते हैं कि आने वाले बिग टूर्नामेंट में टीम शाइन करे एज ए टीम.
The Indian women's hockey team have also delivered promising performances over the years. The women in blue reached the semi-finals of the Tokyo Olympics and also bagged the bronze medal in the 2022 Asian Games in China. Now they are looking to deliver a successful campaign at the World Cup.
It is important to keep a high goal. We tell our team members always to keep their goals high. We're obviously looking forward to the Olympics, but before that, the Asian Games and the World Cup are more important for us.
And after the World Cup, the focus will shift to Japan. The Aichi Nagoya Asian Games will start from September 19th, where both the Indian men's and women's hockey teams will be eyeing to make their mark.
Continuing our focus on sports from the region, just 1 month to the Asian Games, and Bangladesh is all set to make a splash in surfing. Our next story is from the beaches of Cox's Bazar, where a small group of young surfers, despite limited resources and battling social barriers, are dreaming big in a country where cricket and football dominate the sporting landscape. Have a look.
As the waves roll on to the shores of Cox's Bazar, a group of young surfers cruise through the water. In a country obsessed with cricket and football, this bunch is daring to dream big. They are hoping to carve out a place for a sport few people indulge in, and even fewer expect any sort of success to come their way. But these young Bangladeshis are determined to break barriers and succeed despite odds. Among them is 16-year-old Fatima Akhtar, whose father died when she was very young, and a mother who works as a cook has urged her to marry. Fatima, however, has different plans. Every day she spends 4 to 5 hours practicing riding the waves. For Fatima, surfing is a place where she leaves her worries behind and finds a sense of freedom.
When I successfully ride a wave, I feel happy. I surf for 4 or 5 hours every day. People don't know much about surfing. The moment I step onto the board, I forget everything else. I like surfing a lot.
But for these surfers, the biggest challenge is not the waves. Cox's Bazar is among the poorest regions in Bangladesh, where child labor and child marriage are widespread. Many of the poor girls who once trained beside Fatima have left the sport after getting married. Today, only 2 of them continue to surf.
We were 10 girls together before, but almost everyone got married except 2 of us. They regret marrying and tell us that we have freedom to go anywhere and surf while they have to do household work, cook, and take care of children. They always tell me not to marry and to hold on to surfing.
In a conservative and impoverished society, girls are expected to marry at a young age, take care of their households, and put their personal aspirations aside. For many, the freedom to pursue a sport, especially one as unconventional as surfing, remains a privilege rather than a choice. The process of breaking these social barriers is not an easy one. When Rashid Alam started training girls more than a decade ago, many believed surfing was a sport meant only for men.
As a man, if I can surf, girls can surf too. So 2013, it was very challenging for teaching a girl surfing in Bangladesh.
The challenges aren't limited to the society. Essential equipment like surfboards, wetsuits is not manufactured in Bangladesh. Most of the gear used by these athletes have been donated by friends and surfers from abroad.
Now, this is all the stuff I got it from California, donations. Some of my friends, every time I come in visit to the Bangladesh, say I ask for the donations to my friends, say I have a second-hand tour boat, I'm not using, take it that. I say this is gold for us because you don't get any equipment in Bangladesh.
Besides Fatima, another surfer, Muhammad Mannan, learned surfing from Bangladesh's first surfer Jafar Alam.
With the help of my friend, I went surfing. I learned surfing for quite a long time from Zafar Alam, who is the first surfer from Bangladesh. I was mesmerized by surfing because it was connected to water.
Now, both Mannan and Fatima are training to represent Bangladesh at the upcoming Asian Games, scheduled to be held in Japan from September 19th to October 4th, where surfing will feature for the first time. They have no major sponsors, limited funding, and very little public attention, but their ambition remains undimmed. With every wave they ride, they are helping surfing find its place in Bangladesh's sporting future.
Up next, we get you some colors from the region. Each year, approximately 100 local farmers in southern West Bengal train their cattle to participate in Moichara, the traditional cattle racing festival, before they begin cultivating their land. There in Sri Lanka, more than 1,500 Sri Lankan flyers and 80 international enthusiasts from 30 countries flocked to the Colombo International Kite Festival. And celebrations from Nepal on the occasion of the 32nd International Day of the World's Indigenous People. Take a look as we wrap up on this festive note.